here, the user append will have 30. Okay, like we have whenever you have any user append, or user append is nothing but user enforced append. And let me tell about type of appends. Then we'll move on to how to append the program. So we are going to introduce some standards. So what are appends? Append stands for abnormal ending. So there could be a system append or user append. User append. In system append, you'll be having system cannot handle, system fails. So S013 system append. S722 is system append. S806, SOC 7, SOC 4, all these are system append. Any append that starts with character S denotes system append. And for every system append, there's a meaning, and you have to make sure you resolve the append based on the meaning. And we have something called user append, user enforced append. User appends will be having a code as S000 U4038. Whenever you get U4038, we are supposed to go to sysout and read the messages. That will give a hint on how to resolve the error. Okay, sysout. Suppose if you want to have a common code instead of 4038, we can override the code using program. And can you tell me some sample user appends? Any user appends? Any enforced user appends? Any open failure? Read failure? Write failure? And right now, since you are going to have any table, insert failure, all these are user appends. And apart from this, we can have, it could be either user enforced appends, user enforced, or logical appends. For example, if you are having a addition or any computation, if there's a on size error, what happens? We cannot continue. Okay, we cannot continue. We have to enforce an append. What is an on size error? Do you remember? On size error. What?
If there are more bytes comparing.
That's right. If you're going to add 1 to, A, and A is given as 9 of 3, value 999. If you're adding 1 to A, it is going to become 1000. 1000 cannot be stored in 3 bytes. So it's a on size error. So there is no size. It's the data overflow. The data overflow is called on size error. So on size error cannot be just ignored. You have to make sure you append the program. In projects, what they do, we enforce an append. How do you enforce an append? Using a routine called ILBOA BN0. Okay, so for files and for files, we enforce an append. Okay. Using ILBOA BN0. This is an inbuilt system routine available in all the mainframe. We can use it. In projects, they'll be having a separate routine for enforcing an append. So what do we mean enforcing an append? A system, if we are interrupting the program execution, we are interrupting the system execution and then enforcing an append. Here, system appends means what? System cannot handle or interrupts automatically and then appends. Here, user is enforcing. Unless if there's an open failure, you cannot continue reading a file. You have to make sure you enforce an append. How do you enforce an append? By calling ILBOA BN0. It is going to stop the program. And whenever we enforce an append, we give a return code. Return code will usually it is 030. So that is how. From when you see 030, you understand, okay, it's a user enforced append. When you see U4038, it's a system enforced user append. It could be a system enforced user append. This is a U enforce, that is system enforced user append. Any logic append will be U4038. So as far as appends are concerned, there are two types of appends, system and user appends. System appends will have a yes and a number. User append will have yes triple zero and a number in U. Okay. Usually all user append will have U4038. A user append can be either user enforced or system enforced. System enforced means, for example, an open failure. Any logic appends or user appends. Like for example, if there's any open failure or DDA mismatch or any read failure, write failure, all are user appends. So for this, you'll be having only U4038. You have to go to system. You have to go to spool and see a sysout and read the error message and try to interpret and come to conclusion and then try to resolve. And usually we are supposed to enforce an append whenever there's a logic error. For example, when we cannot open the file, we cannot read the file. When we cannot open a cursor successfully, we cannot fetch the cursor. When we cannot fetch the cursor successfully, we should not continue. So for everything, for all these user errors, logic errors, we have to enforce an append. We should stop the program. And these are nothing but production problems coming to the development team. Okay, and whenever you enforce an append, we should have enough displays in spool. We should have proper display saying this fetch error in paragraph and what is the SQL code. From the SQL code, the production support team will get an idea on what is the problem and try to resolve based on the SQL code. Similarly, if there's a file problem, we have to give the file status code. So whenever you enforce an append, give enough messages. Even if you want, you can give paragraph names also. And so that production support team gets enough information to work on the appends. So how do you enforce an append? Using in training we can use ILBOA BN0. It's an inbuilt routine. It's a subroutine or subprogram which requires one variable. Okay, using one variable. This variable is a number. Whatever value you are passing in this number, the same value will be passed in the user code. Like S000 U4038, right? Instead of 4038, whatever number you are passing here will be shown to the user while appending. So this call ILBOA BN0 can be given anywhere, okay, to enforce an append. So usually here in this training we are giving while for opening, closing the file, read error, write error, okay, for rewrite or delete error. For file handling we are giving. Even for DB2 also we are supposed to give ILBOA BN0. So how do you use? Just define a variable user append S904com value say 30 and then so again plus 30 because it's signed variable. If it's non-signed, just give 30. And this, so this is an example of how to use in an open file. For example, if you have open file, open say file name, input file name. Okay, open input file name. So this is how we enforce an append. And for SQLs, we can enforce an append using ILBOA BN0. So if you want to enforce an user append, you can do it using call ILBOA BN0. Because the idea of having this is we cannot continue the program if there's an exception. Here an example. I'll give an example. Unless you open the file, you cannot continue reading or writing. Okay, in this ILBOA BN0 can be used for SQL also. Okay, if you are going to use open a file, if you open cursor fails, again you have to call enforce an append. If fetch cursor fails, you have to enforce an append. If write, insert, delete, anything fails, we have to enforce an append. But in addition to ILBOA BN0, what happens in for DB2, we have an additional routine called DSNT IAR. So it's an inbuilt system routine. So what this routine has, routine is going to display error messages properly for SQL code, for negative SQL code. So if null value is not handled, what SQL code will be getting? Null value is not handled properly. What SQL code we are going to get? We saw in the morning.
Minus
305.
305.
305. That's good. Let me open the program. Gamma01.db2 source. Which program for select for this program? Assume null indicator is not given. I'll remove this insert. So null indicator is there, but assume I haven't used. So customer address is going to be null for 004 customer ID. Since we didn't give null indicator here, it is going to fail. You are going to get minus 305. So when you get minus 305, what we are supposed to do, call ILB OA BN0 using WS user Abends. This W0 Abends is a working storage field. So instead of 4038, you will get 30. Just to differentiate which is user enforced or system enforced. Value 30. So COP003. I haven't used null indicator here. Yeah, I'm supposed to use here after host variable. I didn't use. So it will be minus 305. It comes here. We are going to display and then append. See, this is what we do in projects. We never continue a program. We check for file status code and SQL code for all the operations, and then we enforce an append if any operation fails. It's compiled. Its compilation successful, obviously. Let us bind. So bind is also successful. So let's execute. COP003, same program. Just see here, see the max easy. Max easy 12. Okay, it should not give max easy 12. Anyway, no problem. Then let's go to spool. Go to sysout and try to read the message. The program started successfully. Minus 305. This is what we displayed. The system or user append 30. See, call ILBO ABN0. What it does, it just enforces an append with a 30 return code. So it's a user append. It gives some offset. I'll tell you how to read this offset. Okay, I'll tell you how to read this offset probably tomorrow or day after. So it has failed. So, but in addition to minus 305, we can display some message. What is minus 305? What is minus 305? Null values not handled. To display the message, we have a routine called DSNT-IAR. Okay, we have a message called DSNT-IAR. If you include that, what before appending, you can include this DSNT-IAR. So DSNT-IAR is an inbuilt subprogram which is going to take SQL CA as an input. So what is an important field which we have in SQL CA? An important field which will be having part of SQL CA?
SQL code.
SQL code. SQL code, that's right. So using SQL code, DSNTAR has an inbuilt table. It prepares some error message and store in this error message in this structure. Okay, what you have to do, you have to just copy paste. That's all. So I'll explain how it works. It is going to take SQL CA as an input and just copy and the sending variable, and then it writes some data in error message, and this error message will be displayed in spool before appending. It is going to give some extra messages, additional messages to user, so for to debug. Okay, this error message is nothing but it's 4400 characters. So you have to just copy paste the code. This code should be in working storage section. This code should be in wherever you want. In all the exceptions, you can have this code. You can have it in a paragraph. Call the paragraph. So this paragraph is going to have call DSNTIAR using SQLCA and DB2 error message length. So what is error message? It contains two fields. So one is length 400 and text. So if you have text occurs 5 times indexed by occurs 5 times indexed by an index. What does it mean? This alone.
Array.
Array total length is
80.
85.
80 or
400.
400, sir.
400. So what it does, this program is going to take SQLCA as an input and use SQL code to it has an internal table. I identify the message based on -305. It is going to identify the message and store in error message. Basically, store in this field in 5 lines, 80 bytes, 5 lines. And this error message we can have in loop. Okay, actually it's incorrect. We have a loop. We can have a loop and display the lines. So understanding SQLCA stands for SQL communication area. SQL communication area is going to be filled by system automatically after every SQL query. So whenever there's an exception, we call DSNTIAR to display proper error messages in spool and then forcefully append the program using ILBOA BN0. So DSNTIR, what it does, it is going to take SQLC as an input and it is going to give DB2 error messages as output. Error message is nothing but working storage field which contain message text 80 bytes 5 times. This 80 bytes will be 5 times will be filled by data. Okay, this 80 bytes 5 times will be filled by data by this program, and this 80 bytes will be displayed in spool. 80 bytes 5 times will be displayed in spool, and then we will enforce an append. It's very easy. You just copy paste. Here, I think line length may not be required, and this also may not be required. I have to try. I'll try to give a very shorter form of error DSNTIAR. So right now I will use this and show you, then you will understand much better. In the same program, in COP 003, just copy paste. All these are just copy paste job. That's all. Here, before appending, again we'll copy paste. It should be in a paragraph. Okay, it should be a paragraph, but I'm just copy pasting without paragraph. So what this program do, it is going to take SQLCA. So after this query is executed, the cell query is executed, SQLCA will be filled. And SQLCA, SQL code is one part, and we're going to check SQL code, it's -305. It comes to when other. We're displaying -305. But that is not enough. No one can remember what is -305. Then what we have an inbuilt subprogram called DSNTIAR, which is going to take -305 and display and populate a message in this error message table. And we are using an inline perform and then displaying the error message data that is stored in error message in 5 lines. That's why this inline perform, we have this inline perform. After displaying the error message, we will be abandoning the program. So whenever you have SQL errors, you have to call this dsnt first and then ILBOABN0 next. And it has just copy paste this and also copy paste this structure, these two structures. But there are some smaller version, I think. I will just try it and let you know. Let me compile this. Oh, it gives mine 08. End evaluate is found 197. So you can go to the top MF7, find 197 also. This is another way to find end evaluate. Scroll up F7. Some dot. Okay, here one dot is there. Whenever you have any matching scope terminator, some dots are extra. You have to remove the dots. That's all. Scroll down. Remove the dot. F3 saves also. Bind. Then you are going to bind. Gamma 01A. Bind done. Again, you are going to get 12 because it's not a. We haven't handled null indicator. So let's see what is the use of dsnt here. See, there are many lines. There are 10 lines. Select. So what it does, SQL code -305. The null value cannot be assigned to output host variable number 2 because no indicator variable is specified. Number 2, host variable number 2 means second variable, which is address. So it is giving some additional information like SQL state, error P. These are not required. This message is an additional message which can be used for debugging. Okay, even you can perform 2 lines also, because these 2 lines are having the message. Sometimes it goes 3 lines. So this is the use of dsnt IAR. Okay, this dsnt IAR is given whenever there's an exception in SQL, and it is going to display some proper message in spool so that you can easily debug without referring to any document. Okay, otherwise, and then you abandon the program using ILBOABN0. For this, we need to have the structure. We need to have these copied in working storage and these copied in procedure division. This is SQL exception. SQL, how to enforce an SQL abend, and for any file status abend or any other logic abends, we use call ILBOABN0. It has only one variable, sending variable, which is user abend. It's a S904 com defined in working storage section. Here there are 3 variables: 1 sending, 2 receiving. I think this is the receiving. This is also sending because it has an inbuilt value. So it's also 2 sending and 1 receiving value. Just copy paste, it is going to work. So these are some standards you are supposed to follow when you are writing a program.